Hee-haw! Gather veterans, it's time to join the fight. The long war begins in the mobile soup kitchen down in Texas.
And this is The Long War. I'm Rob Bear, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, and special guest, Matt Barr. What's up, y'all?
Yo, Doc, great to be here.
Hi, everybody.
I guess I should have introduced Matt a little bit better.
Should have done
So
better.
Matt, you're the Mo better. You're the head overall of all things 40K at Adepticon. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so there's a lead organizer, that would be me. So that's just like a lot of logistics and behind the scenes stuff related to 40K. And then I'm the actual head judge for the team tournament, the 40K team tournament at Adepticon.
Oh, okay. So yeah, super important all the way around.
People know him.
I mean, I like to think so.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there we go.
Look at his apartment. It smells of rich mahogany and leather-bound books.
Hey, he's got a respectable backdrop. I like it. Okay, so we're going to talk about. We're obviously going to be talking about Adepticon tonight. Some updates from the Texas soup kitchen, I'm sure, and balanced out slate. The sky is falling, of course.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'll just do our weekly Wyatt update. So still in the Texas soup kitchen, the mobile beats lab in full force. Been here for a little over 3 weeks now, I think. And so Wyatt we thought today would be like the day that he gets out. Like it was like our most optimistic. It was like, we're out of here. And then we found out today he's not getting out of here today. So a little bit of a setback, a little disappointing. Not like a setback in recovery, just like how information circulates, right, in these situations. And so could be 2 more weeks, could be 1 more week, could be Monday. So it's a little bit of a blow to Wyatt. So anybody out there, who is on Discord with the guy or, regularly sends him hilarious reels on Instagram,
Send more.
But yeah, that's my Wyatt update.
That's fair. I don't have a would you rather prepared, although we did talk about some the snail
The snail one. Yeah. You could. I mean, I don't think Matt was here for that. You can do it if you want. You can do a quick would you rather if you want.
Yeah, I was not here. I came in late for that.
Okay, so what is it? Would you rather
make minimum wage for the rest of your life, or $1 million a year for the rest of your life?
Oh, but there
is a snail that is tracking you down.
Catches you, you're dead.
It's a heat-seeking snail. It's coming after you. It's a normal-ass snail. If it touches you, you die.
So it's normal speed.
It's a normal snail in every other way, except that it's essentially an impervious, immortal snail. You can't smash it. You can't kill it.
Nope.
You can't, it's coming for that ass. You know what I'm saying? It's relentless, coming for you at all times. You can do anything you want, right? But $1 million a year, the snail gets you, you're dead. Or minimum wage for the rest of your life, never have to worry about the snail kill.
So have you guys seen the movie It Follows?
No.
There's a movie about the snail?
So it's not a snail. It's a sexually transmitted curse where this ghost-like figure is just slowly walking towards you forever. And if they get you, you die.
So it's like that.
If you're a horror movie fan, it's worth checking out. I think that movie just
inspired this. Would you rather?
Well, the constant anxiety of the characters of just never being able to relax, just always being on edge.
And this ghost can go through walls and shit, just walking straight at you in a straight line.
Well, in the movie, the ghost thing can change shape. So sometimes it looks odd and weird, and then sometimes it looks like your family, and it's always just sort of so like you're always on edge because you can't tell like who it is, or like you think it's your mom, but it's really this creature that's going to come kill you.
That's horrible.
But like, yeah, it is. It's and it makes me think I would much rather live off of minimum wage than that
than
kind of anxiety.
Than the anxiety
forever. Yeah, I couldn't handle it. I don't think any amount of money's worth that.
This nonstop on the edge anxiety, 24 hours a day. Is that snail? So I mean, the thing is, you'd have to say so. Like, if for me, I'd pick $1 million. Fuck it, I'm down. Let's go. Like, fuck this snail. This is gonna be my. This is like from other Would You Rather's, like me and the chicken, me and the chimpanzee. Like I have I'm down to form a rivalry with a fucking magic snail. Like I'm down. Let's go. And one day I will get tired of running. And then it would be my great honor, to allow, him to win this fight. Like I'll come up to him and I'm like, we're gonna box until one of us goes down, son. You know what I mean? Like. But having said all that, I think I have a couple good strategies on like how I can at least go 40 years stress free. You
just have to relocate, do the math, and
Right, but the second thing is, Matt's on it though. Like anxiety will be there because I go to Singapore. That's where I live now, and we started here in Texas, right? Well, you're like, well, technically I should be safe, but that snail is coming for me. Like, it is his sole goal to get to me. You tell me that snail doesn't just get on a boat one day? Doesn't just get on a freighter? Just snail up onto something? You know what I mean?
If he's smart, he will.
There's a magic snail who's coming for that ass, dude.
You gotta gamify it. You have two houses. And you do the math for how long it takes the snail to get from one to the other.
It's like 3.6 days. It's like 3.5 days to go a mile.
Yeah.
For the snail.
That's slow. You could have if you had one on each coast, you could have half the year in one place. Mm-hmm. When you math it out and, the snail hits Arizona.
Right. But what if he never left your first house waiting for you to get back?
Oh, that's the
anxiety.
Smart. Yeah.
See?
Yeah, what if he gets on a train or
yeah. Then you're
like you just don't know. Like
the snail is an immortal fucking god snail. Can't be injured, can't be killed. So you can't salt ring yourself, and he doesn't care about that shit. He's impervious to harm and damage.
Looking around at all of our hobby rooms, and
he could be literally behind anything.
Right. So you can't see it, but I'm in the middle, surrounded by all my hobby stuff, and I'd have to clean my house out. Right, there's way too many places for this snail to sneak through and get me. If I had a completely pristine life, maybe I'd be more likely to pick the snail because you have eye lines to see him coming. So.
Well, plus say that's how smart is it? It's smart enough to know its only thing in life is to get to me. Every particle and every atom in its body is get to me.
Yeah, I just don't feel, as someone that has had a lot of anxiety, especially today, I don't feel like that's a good way to live. So I'm going to say, you know what? Just work. Just be happy. It's all about being happy at the end of the day, right?
See, people are smart. What's the max speed? Spend half the 6 months in a different hemisphere.
Sure.
The top speed of a snail, like I said, it's about 3.6 days per mile. Right? It's top speed. Okay. So yeah, you're okay, I go to Australia, I go to Singapore, I go anywhere, different hemisphere. Mathematically, you should be fine. It would take him 40 years to get to you. So you're I should be fine. What if that snail's on a freighter? What if he gets on an airplane? What if he just sticks to somebody's backpack one day? And you think you've got a 40-year timer, and then 5 years into that timer, you start really thinking about all these other things. Am I really that safe? Am I? Do I need some snail security in here? And you're you know what? I should just fucking move now. You know what I mean? Think about Matt's onto it. He watched a horror movie about this, so he kind of knows the suspense level that heat-seeking snail missile can create for you. To me, the only strategy is simple. I never lose eyesight on the fucking snail.
So you got to be.
You just let it get close, and then you just always like, just slowly
Like
move
I'm a
just
millionaire
out of
now,
its reach.
so like I pay people to keep eyes on the snail. Like it's like like curling, the Olympic sport.
Yeah.
It's like they're curling in front of the guy, the snail, because it's always moving straight to me, right? So like I'm just like let it, eyes on the snail at all fucking times. I'll never be so far away from the snail that we can't like that I can't also see him if I needed to. Like basically a big part of my
You could have a snail
identity
cam.
as a human now is like the guy who the snail's trying to kill. Like that's my life now. It's not like I'm hiding out in fucking a villa in paradise for the rest of my life. No, like this is what I do now. Like I have like high level trained security, dude. Like this is what we're doing. Like I'm into this. Like we're gonna have a code name for the snail, everything, dude. I'm gonna spend at least 80% of my new $1 million income on this
Yeah,
operation.
right.
Snails on the move.
Yeah.
So I'm an accountant, and my mind immediately went to how much is it going to cost to pay this team of people to watch the snail all the time. I think you might need a few $1 million to make this work.
So somebody in chat said send the snail to space. So that is earlier when we posed this in the after hours. This is a would you rather that has been around on the internet for a while.
Yeah.
And that was actually someone's solution. It was basically like you trick the snail into a scenario where you launch it into space. Right? It's kind of like how you fully escape it. But the snail can't die, so now you've put this like poor little soul into a forever like tumbling through space literally for all eternity. So now it's like I don't know if I can live myself after that. You know what I'm saying? That poor little guy. He was just doing his one little thing, you know what I mean? And I picked that. I said, this snail, you can have this one thing. You got to come after me, right? And I get the money. And then I send you into space for all of time and space, like forever. Bro, that's fucked.
I mean, it's.
That-
Yeah.
That's evil, right? Like,
I mean, I think you brought up a good point. What was this snail like before you picked? Like, if this was a nice snail and you forced him into this spot, that's different than if he's going to be going around chasing and putting people to death anyway.
yeah, my decision made this snail exist. You know what I mean? And then I doomed him to that existence.
Well, I feel like,
Nah,
mean,
the game was on. It's like Catch Me As You Can, Leo. You know, with Leo DiCaprio. That's like that's the life I envisioned. It was like that, like playful, campy. You know what I mean? Like, and one day the snail will get me. I accept that. Just like I accept I'm a zombie in every zombie apocalypse. That's the end
True.
result. I'm a zombie.
no. I don't know. I feel like the snail's going to eventually come back to Earth and find you.
Yeah. What if he hits you right back to Earth? You think the anxiety's gone now?
You just never know. When it's
Bro,
got
you see
from
like
above.
when you see like what like some just space debris, like you're chilling camping in Colorado and you see like little asteroids coming back to Earth, you're like, yo, it could be that snail.
Shooting star. Yeah, it's a snail.
It's a snail.
For sure, a snail.
All right. Rob, so thank you for bringing us in on that. Matt, thank you for participating. So now with our guests, we have the news. Rob is going to cover some stuff. Always feel free to interrupt and jump in, and you can have something constructive to say, or you can just make fun of Rob. Either way.
It's mostly the latter with Kenny.
Yeah. That is accurate.
It's sometimes he actually cares. Anyways, so this week is the big Dark Angels release. Oh boy. So we got a lot of Dark Angel stuff coming out, of course. The new Inner Circle companions are $60 US. Asmodee is 42. New Deathwing Knights are $70 US. And revealed today was the new Combat Patrol, which is $160 to normal price. Belial is $42, and then there's that upgrade and transfers kit for $35, which is very similar to the Cadian ones that came out with that release. Codex Supplement Dark Angel. So this is the first Codex Supplement we've gotten, and that is only a mere $35, not the normal 60 for a Codex. And then there's also data sheet cards for 35. Dark Angel's dice are 32, and then there's some various books and things that are also coming out. And if you're really into the Dark Angels, they have a collector's edition, which again is less than the normal cost, and that is only $65 because basically you need the Marine Codex too to go along with these guys. So there's that. That's all the big releases. Now GW did reveal today the new Combat Patrol box, which we'll have the value and stuff on here shortly because I haven't even had a chance to look at it yet. But I'm sure it's pretty decent because it isn't all taken up by characters and things. There is a preview that's happening next Saturday, March 2nd at, I guess, Nottingham. It doesn't seem like it's going to be streamed, although they could come out and say it is going to be streamed at some point. But they said that there would be at least an article with the reveals. So it feels like it's going to be similar to like one of those Black Library previews where they're just like, here's some new stuff coming out, new books and things like that. And I have cookies. There's cookies here now. I'm going to eat them at some point. So that's kind of cool. So we'll see what comes out for that because there's technically still a lot of things on the way. We know that Dark Angels are supposed to come out in in spring, but spring actually starts on March 19th. So Dark Angels will be out on the 9th. So we're actually getting them 10 days early. But then again, they said a lot of things are coming out in spring, from Orcs to Custodes to Chaos. I'm probably missing one. I forget. I don't have the picture memorized. I think Sisters maybe. So that's a pretty big window for a lot of content. So the chances are that we are going to see, Tau at some point. But because we know the big box set's coming out, but don't necessarily know when. However, Orcs are on the way too, and Orcs will probably be next according to their diagram and things. So while the Orcs might not get a huge release because they just got a special character, the Black Library Celebration, they could just get one model and maybe some other stuff. They just got a huge big revamp in 2021 with all the Beast Naga stuff. So it just really depends. But either way, there's a lot of new 40K stuff on the way that is sure to shake things up. I'm sure if I had to guess. So look for that preview coming out soon. A couple of Kickstarters that popped off on Tuesday. The Duncan's Two Thin Coats Kickstarter Wave 3 is already funded, of course. Snot Goblin Games, they have a Lego modular terrain set. Did really well as well. That's all funded as well. So lots of big hobby projects out there that are already doing well. McFarlane, if you're into action figures and don't want to shell out the 60 to 80 bucks for Joy Toys, I'm holding up the new McFarlane Mega Fig Terminator that just started shipping. So there's 6 different figures from McFarlane Toys for Warhammer 40K. 2 of them are artist proofs. There's a World Eaters one as well as the Ultramarine Terminator that you can paint up however you want. And I think the Terminator's 50, the artist proof, I believe, is 20 something. There's a Space Wolf and some other stuff too. So look for those. If you haven't pre-ordered them already, you can just order it right now, and it'll probably be to you here in 2 or 3 days right off Amazon, or you can go to McFarlane Toys as well. Trying to read the rest of my writing here.
He doesn't write things down. He just pretends he has papers with writing on it. And
I tend to not be able to read my writing after I actually write it down. Oh, there's that talking point I wanted to talk about. Atomic Mass Games. So Star Wars Shatterpoint, I don't know what happened, but this week there's 5 expansion sets coming out for Star Wars Shatterpoint all at once. So we didn't have anything since Christmas, or actually before Christmas, and now we got like 5 of them. So that's dope. Also, they previewed 3 new ones. So we got Mandalorian coming out, Moff Gideon's squad coming out with the Death Troopers, and also the Bad Batch. So really cool, kind of more recent stuff, not necessarily into the Return of the Jedi era, but a lot cooler stuff that's been on TV recently coming out as squads. Also at okay, gosh, I guess it's just next weekend. The X-Men for Marvel Crisis Protocol will all be out too. So there's 3 new expansions for them. So if you're into either of those games, it's going to be a busy hobby session here this spring for you. Solar Auxiliary are also getting a new Basilisk Medusa dual kit that looks to be based off of the Forge World kit for the Solar Auxiliary, which was dope because I already have three of them already ready to paint. So, but they don't have interiors, and it looks like these have interiors with like crew and shells and all sorts of things. So I'm really excited to get my hands on that and see what the interior compartment looks like for those. So that's going to be pretty cool. So a Solar Auxiliary looks to be really, really well rounded out and definitely usable, hopefully, fingers crossed, the infantry scale wise in Warhammer 40K. Like if you're like, yo, I just want some of these dudes, they look dope, I'm not into Cadians, you might be able to use those. They might be about the right scale, but we haven't seen them next to the new Cadians quite yet. So I'm really hopeful for that one. I guess I have 2 little talking points to talk about after the news here that one of them might get us on a little bit of a tangent, so I'll save that one. So GW put out their MetaWatch article today, which I'm sure Matt's going to want to chime in on this. It was basically a little bit of a nutshell, just saying like, hey, the balanced data slate's been out for about a month now. I think it came out on the 30th, and things have changed. And last week we saw, for the first week, it seemed like the majority of events were running the balanced data slate, because a lot of events before that were already slated and people already had their lists. So, you can't change stuff like last second and things. But I think this week was really the first solid week of data we got. And in that solid week of data, we saw, Sisters and Custodes and Necrons did really well. And I think the data kind of supports that a lot of people were playing Custodes and a lot of people were playing Necrons. But where does that get us? Like, traditionally, we've seen things change. Like, people adapt and the meta changes, right? What do you guys think?
Take over to Matt, our guest, and 40K event organizer for Adepticon. How do you feel about that data?
Yeah, so I mean, we were chit-chatting about this in the pre-show. I think there's 2 things to keep in mind, and they're both related to hobby lag. So Necrons were good before, so everybody, and they didn't change at all. So what was good before is still good. So everybody's been hobbying and building on Necrons for a couple of months at this point, and so though, like, the Necron players have the best version of Necrons ready to go, like, a week as soon as the data slate dropped. And then Custodes are like, maybe you didn't have everything ready for Custodes, but honestly, like, a lot of people did. What's good in Custodes now is what was good in Custodes like 2 or 3 months ago before they got nerfed. So the hobby lag for Custodes is very small. And even if you wanted to do like new units, Custodes are like a super, super quick and easy army to get together. And so I just think both of those armies were probably positioned to do well quickly. People can get together the best versions of those armies. Whereas like some of the other things that people are talking about, Drukhari has 1 million units, and like your new
and they're not just metal with dry brushing to paint them and shit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so like the 4 units you need to get together for your hot new Drukhari army, might take you like a month, or same with Guard, same with Sisters, right? So I think 2 weeks or a week and a half or whatever after the data slate drops really, really favors the short hobby time armies.
Good. People who can be first to market will always have success.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the people who are positioned, well, this is like something we talked about. We've been doing this like for 10 years. This happens a lot, right? It's I mean, it's no surprise that we're talking about Necrons and Custodes, two armies that are traditionally like you can rattle can that shit with like a metal color and wash and dry brush it. Hobby lag is not existent, right? If you want to be battle ready for a tournament. And also, like you said, like oftentimes it's someone who already has these collections because they rotate in and out. They're first to market. You're positioned well. So it's just like Knights. Every time Knights are good, every time a new Codex drops for something like that, seems really good. It's you're seeing like also an inaccurate data set because it's like if everyone is trying to play it because it's new, how accurate is this data? Right? If it goes from like in a vacuum, there's 10 factions and 10% of all players play all factions, which is like what you want, right? Mm-hmm. If it goes to like suddenly 40% of all players are playing one faction, that data is kind of tainted. Like it's like, yeah, it seems real good because we're only looking at, and that's why statistically speaking, the statistics that we get from the Meta Watch are flawed, but they're still the only and best statistics we can observe, which is win rate.
Yeah. So and they say this in a lot of the Meta Watch articles, but I wonder how much it plays into their thinking. I think they're getting better about considering many different reasons to nerf or buff an army. So like one reason is it has a high overall win rate. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's winning GTs, or it could be winning GTs and have a very mediocre win rate, or it could not be winning GTs. It could be having a very mediocre win rate. And it's just an awful play experience for players. And it sucks. And it's ruining games. Like we could all just flip a coin and that would be perfectly fair. And it would you would have a 50-50 win rate, but like that would be miserable and nobody would want to play the game. So I think the Meta Watches, and the design team are getting better about encompassing all of that. But I agree that the first statistic they always throw out is win rate. And it's just the picture's way, way more nuanced and complex than that.
And a lot of people have commented on that over the years. It's like, calm down, guys. We don't really have other statistics we can really get. We can't gather usable data almost. Like it's people are like, yeah, but what about like player skill? What about this? None of that. We can't get that. How are we going to get that data? How are we going to get all this insanely important data? We can't, dude. It only when like if we all use the exact same app, and all events were keyed into that app, and then the person at the top of that app was pulling all that data. There's like a full-time CPA doing that shit. You know what I mean? Like that guy's fucking like like a full-time employee. That's all he's doing with other people around him. Like that doesn't exist. It won't exist. Like so, we only have one. We can look at one thing: win rate. And according to the win rate, Custodians look OP right now.
Yeah,
but it's as Matt said, it's more nuanced than that. It's probably not as OP as you think, but they're undoubtedly better than they once were. Someone in chat mentioned earlier, OnePlus Fantasy said like, so like they, he phrased it a little bit more, aggressively or not aggressively, like a little bit more declarative statement-y than how I'm going to phrase it. But it's like they have mortal wound mitigation and devastating wound mitigation now, where they used to only have mortal wound mitigation. And then with the change of devastating wound, which is where 99% of mortal wounds come from, they got fucked, right? So then that's been revoked. So they have both devastating wound mitigation and mortal wound mitigation and premium fucking armor save statistics. So they have a set of damage mitigation properties that are high tier. And as Matt mentioned, like most people already have a collection. Or if you don't, somebody in chat mentioned it's $400 to get an army to get one of these lists together. So it's like cheap, $400 to get the list together. You can literally spend all Saturday building the $400 worth of models. Right? Then you can go out on Sunday with a can of fucking gold spray paint you bought from Home Depot. Spray all that bitches up. Then have breakfast. go back into the Beats lab, literally fucking hit them all with a fucking wash, a quick gold dry brush after lunch, then, start playing them and they're on bases and they're almost battle ready based on what event you've been to. You know what I mean? And you can just, in between like errands and tasks for the rest of the week, paint, this doodad brown, this doodad blue, you know what I mean? Like literally it's a low pressure, low ceiling entry, easy on the wallet. So expect to see a lot of people, taking advantage of this new set of power. Like the same units are good. Also, other people got nerfed.
Yeah, I think that's the thing to sort of realize. So I'll stick by my statement. I think some of their early success in the data slate is because of hobby lag. If there was one thing that was going to concern me that they're going to become dominant, I suppose two. One of them would be what you just said, Kenny, that it's an easy bandwagon army. Super easy. Like maybe the easiest.
It's the GOAT right now.
Yeah.
It probably is right now because Grey Knights aren't nearly the same.
Like Grey Knight, Necrons, and Custodians are GW is good at putting out armies that are easy to paint. They know, and they usually balance them. If you watch when they put out releases, you'll see it. That happens a lot. And of the three easiest to get to the table, this is the GOAT.
Yeah, and then on top of that, I think if you pause, right, Custodians were super, super good at the beginning of the edition. They were like really good. Mechanically,
they were hella good really for a time at 9th.
Well, yeah, that's true. But like most of their nerfs from early in the edition have been undone, right? So the mortal wound nerf has been undone. The points increases.
Yeah, the fucking in has been revoked.
Undone. Correct. Yeah. The only thing that they really can't do right now is the big giant units to economize on the strats. But in every other way, they're firing off at pretty much the power level they had.
So the people from only this edition, their exact fucking armies are working again.
Yep.
And then if you go back further, 9th, they had a heyday and most people are collectors. They keep their shit. So there's people with entire shelves of Custodies from 9th. And there's people with entire shelves of Custodies from fucking late 8th when we started getting the Prospero burn box and stuff. Like, people have been collecting the fuck out of this army since the models became available in plastic. No hobby lag, dude. Like, that's what's really happening. Are they OP? We need more data. We don't believe they are.
They're good, but they're not quite the same as they were. I mean, yes, the devastating wound thing is great, but the squads don't work quite the same composition wise. And actually, you can field smaller squads now. With the guard, you can field a squad of 4, which is kind of cool. Maybe not worth it because their whole trick is having the high OC and everything. But I do think, we kind of got to wait and see. I feel like, Cherokee's this weekend, and there's a lot of events heading up to Adepticon at the end of March. So I think a lot of things are going to change very fast this spring when it comes to the meta.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
We also briefly in the pregame show, the after hours, we talked a little bit about the Satan and the Trajan designer notes. So if you guys want to go back into the paywall or the VODs here on Twitch, depending on where you listen to this, if it's on your drive to work or whatnot, you can go rehash that conversation as we were, trying to read these designer notes and commenting from chat in real time. But what we're going to do is we'll take a commercial break and then we'll come back and we're going to talk all about Adepticon, which I think you guys know. We've been doing this podcast for literally a decade, and we have talked about Adepticon for literally all 10 of those years. And so let's hear from the sponsors. We'll hit you up on that flip. BaronofDice.com, the official dice sponsor of the Long War podcast. Use promo code LongWar5 for 5% off. If you're looking for a superior dice manufacturer, then look no further than Baron of Dice. Custom artwork, faction representation, and crisp razor edge square dice. Remember to use promo code LongWar5. Again, that's baronofdice.com, the official dice sponsor of this podcast.
For the best game aids and peripheral tools for wargaming, check out our friend J15games.com. From wound counters and dials to faction rule trackers, these are the coolest tools out there. Designed to be functional and intuitive, these tools help you stay organized and speed up your game. Their flagship product, the Nesting Movement and Combat Tool, is absolutely amazing. A magnetized measuring widget that splits into 3 different size tools for every situation. And you can get it in 8 different colors. J15 also offers custom ordered dice trays made from hardwood and leather. Check them out at j15games.com. That's j15games.com.
And we're back. So, if you made it this far into the podcast, maybe you're on your way back from work, because I don't know what the average commute is these days, 30 minutes? You know, so
Sure.
Not the whole podcast. So, they probably had to wait till after work to hear this part. But, so we got Matt. As he was introduced earlier, he is the top guy for the 40K event organization structure at Adepticon. And you guys know Adepticon is known for its 4-man team. That's its flagship event. That is what started the whole thing. The first people to bring this 4-man style of play together. In its inception, it was a 1-day 5-round event. It was insane. Or 1-day 4-round event. And then it became a 2-day 5-round event.
Yep.
And we had been the last time Rob and I played in that event. Was it even a 2-day event yet, Rob? I think we played 1 year in the 2-day format.
I think we did. That was like 2017. We got like best heretical.
Yeah,
was that the last time we played?
Yeah, but we also we actually won the event once.
We did in
With Blood,
2011.
but it was still a 1-day 4-rounder.
That sounds right. Yeah,
That's
I think it was definitely
2011.
Because you could still do what do we call it? The Iron Man, where you played
played
in the Gladiator, you played in the team event, and you played in the singles.
And then you would have an overall, you are the Iron Man. You did the best amongst all of those. It was the gangster shit, dude. It's like 11 games in fucking 3 days. It was brutal.
I want to.
My first Adepticon was 2007.
Yeah. This is our 20th Adepticon, and I believe it's the 23rd year, maybe the 22nd year. So we missed 2 because of COVID, and then this is the 20th actual convention this year. So it's been around a long time, longer than about a year before I started actually even playing the game. So
it's wild. It's wild to think about, right? Like,
yeah,
this is the event. Anyone who's first time listening to us, we get people cycling in, cycling out all the time. We got old heads in chat who know about it. But some people don't.
Yeah.
Right. Some people don't understand that there are no conventions in Warhammer 40K the way you think a convention is. If you're like new to this hobby, you go to any one of the other events we talk about. These are
tournaments.
These are we call them cons, but if you've gone to like Gen Con or you've gone to Dragon Con or Mega Con, you're like, this is not a con. And you're right to feel that way. The closest thing we have to that is Adepticon. It is the only thing that is modeled and styled itself after a Gen Con style experience, but exclusively about tabletop wargaming. So it is truly magnificent to behold. We always tell people, if you can only go to one, or this is your first time and you're trying to slap together a hobby budget, this is the one, right? I just came back from LVO. Oh, Matt was there. We talked. We hung out, which is, a completely different style of play, different experience, right? That's like that's the biggest singles event in mankind, right? That's what they are styled around. And they build a tiny convention experience around that, where that's not Adepticon. So anyway, that's the preamble. Anybody who hasn't heard about it before, Matt, tell us what you're excited about this year at Adepticon.
Yeah, so I deal mostly with the 40K stuff. So obviously as the lead organizer, so we've it's shaping up to be a really successful year. Like every event sold out within like a day or two. Even the team tournament, which had been waning for a couple of years. I think I blame a lot of that on COVID, right? Not to like get the podcast flagged or whatever here for COVID info, but I think it's always hard to get a team of guys together. And then, you get one or two guys who are nervous to travel and nervous to go to a convention of, 8,000 people, and then your team falls apart. So I think that was a lot of it. But now that is mostly all behind us, and the game is it seems like in a good and improving state. The team tournament sold out in a day, and we have a wait list for the team tournament. Our wait list for the championships, our singles GT is full. Wait lists for all the other events are long. It's going to be a really successful year attendance wise, which is great. And then on the rules front, it's there are a couple of big changes. Obviously, it's our first time with the new edition, so that's exciting. Because of that, the team tournament, the format had to adjust some.
Oh yeah.
Right. In particular, like the missions, because the 10th missions and 9th missions are totally different. So we're trying something new. We've worked in the tactical objective mechanics into the team play for this year. We've been play testing it a lot out where I live, and seems fun. I mean, people seem to be enjoying it, and I think it does a good job of capturing the flavor of playing with your buddy, right, and playing on the table together with your buddy, and then also just kind of the spirit of the way missions and 10th work. So I'm very excited to see all of that in action. And feel free to interrupt me, because I'm very excited for this year. I could ramble on here for a while.
Keep going. You're a guest.
So attendance looks to be great. I'm excited for the new team tournament format. We have published that format, and we're committed to keeping that format live and up to date. What I think we're hoping to do is just make this something that people can practice and get excited for all year long.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? So I remember I've been playing long enough. I can remember when Adepticon was the center of competitive 40K. And I mean, this would have been like 12-ish years ago, really before Frontline was even a thing.
Yep.
And if you wanted to play competitive 40K, you played Adepticon missions with Adepticon rules. And I don't know that we want to try and get back to that, but when it comes to the 4-man teams, we're the only people who do that, right? And so I think that there's a niche in the market to...
Yeah, people don't realize what you're talking about who are new. Like, so the idea of all of us playing the same missions we're playing modern right now. But like how it used to be was every event was its own island.
Yeah.
It was its own fiefdom. You know what I'm saying? And
it was hard to keep us sometimes.
Because like the only way the rule book told you to play was like kill everyone. Or kill, like, and then it evolved to like kill points, right? It was like end of mission scoring, kill people. We didn't have real last missions. We had like campaigns, dumb shit like that. But when it came to competitive play, you'd go to even like a local event. Most of the time, those dudes printed their own missions. They wrote their own shit down. And they said, these are the missions, dog. And then it took a unifying structure like Adepticon, right? They gather a little prestige, little awareness to them. And then suddenly it's like, we kind of have like a new format to look up to, right?
Right.
This mission pack. And then over the years, more mission packs from different other, big events that started becoming more and more regular staples of our annual touring as competitive players. It was like, we played ATC missions, we played Adepticon missions, we played Nova missions. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then eventually we got to a place where, and then GW left. They left us.
There was the INAT
for like 7 years. Like they vanished from the scene.
Oh, it was longer than that.
Longer than that. You're right. So like a GT was a Games Workshop term. It wasn't a thing that we did. It was Games Workshops put on grand tournaments. And then RTTs were rogue trader tournaments. So that lexicon usage still sticks, but it means nothing now. So we took over, the people took over, and that's where these missions developed, right? Then eventually GW came back, right? A lot of things changed over that decade or plus, right? And now they're like, well, you guys did all the R&D for us, like all these missions for all these years. And, we used to play only battle points. Remember that, Matt? Like it was battle points.
Yeah.
And then it became win-loss, right? Then it got more and more competitive, more bracketed, and we grew up. We grew up as a competitive scene. And now that they're back, they've been able to look at all this data, and they give us a pretty solid set of rules now. You look in the book and you look at the missions and you look at the tactical deck, you're like, this actually works.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree totally, Kenny. And I think since GW has returned to running events and supporting the independent events, right, there's just been a real change inside the company. Like if you've only ever known Games Workshop over the last 3 years when they have been running the US Open circuit, and they've been putting a lot of money and effort into matched play, that was not the GW even 5 years ago.
There's crickets out here, dude.
And yeah.
It was borderline adversarial.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, exactly what you said. I remember through 5th edition, which a lot of graybeards like us consider a sort of a lost golden era of competitive 40K.
Fourth edition is actually, since we're doing a history lesson, 4th edition is what started competitive play because they changed terrain to where we could use felt.
Yeah.
And Kirby said that was a mistake. I remember that was Kirby era. And Kirby was like, that was the biggest mistake we made because now people think this is a competitive game and it's all about tournaments. Well, bro, we don't need a bin of felt strips and we can run an event now.
Yeah.
So that kicked it off. Right. So even though the edition was kind of foobar because they did all the trial vehicle rules and all this nonsense for transports, we could just play like crazy. So we did. And then when 5th dropped, they changed it to cinematic terrain. That was a huge departure. So it took a while for tournaments to catch up, but we were already doing the tournaments and everyone is building tournament philosophies and everything that they quickly adapted and made their own terrain sets to work with this new cinematic edition, which is also why Leaf Blower Guard was the bane of 5th edition for the first year, because terrain hadn't been updated yet because we couldn't play in felt anymore. Right. But by the time 5th stabilized off of the back of what 4th did for us, got us out playing, right? But when 5th stabilized, it was the fucking golden era. The tournaments were all set up. We were playing. The game was easy. It was, you were right. But just to give everyone how we got there, 4th edition terrain, Kirby. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah. Yeah.
But remember, you probably remember, if you think back far enough, you probably remember getting down to the model's eye and looking through a bunch of bullshit. That was a totally new thing. And 5th edition made that.
And you've been around Adepticon long enough. I'm sure you remember we've phased them out at this point, but the old
busted Adepticon terrain.
Well, we had these cactus pieces of tree elements for forest based, and they had toothpicks coming out of every which way, and you had to drop down to get your cinematic true line of sight, and you would always guaranteed stab yourself in the face on these cactuses.
They were a public menace.
Yeah. They're thankfully I don't think we have any of those anymore.
No, but then that's also always a concern when you think of an event on the scale of Adepticon is okay, terrain completely changed. Shit.
Well, so this is a great segue into something else that I'm a couple of things here that I'm excited for. So I generally am a big fan of the unification of the tournament format, right? As somebody who used to have to, I traveled around a lot in 5th and 6th edition. There was Adepticon 40K, there was Young ITC 40K, there was WarGamesCon 40K, there was Nova 40K, there was ATC 40K, there was WTC 40K, and everybody had different facts, different terrain, it was not great. So I am super, super excited that it's not like that anymore. The game is portable. You can go across the country and you're playing the same game wherever you're at. So I think that that's generally a great thing. related to that, we made a big announcement related to our terrain this year.
Oh.
So we are running Games Workshop layouts this year with like one or two nuances. So it's for us, we have to put together 128 and change tables. And our aesthetic standards are pretty high. So that's not something that we can just change within a year, especially because we're all volunteers. We all have jobs. Like, we don't sell any of our terrain. We don't sell kits. We don't manufacture anything. This is all just
Adepticon is a self-contained business that you do all your business all year, and this is the day that you make your profits. Like, it's not
right.
It's always been
right.
The convention is the business.
Yeah. And a lot of the revenue and stuff's in like merchandise and stuff.
Yeah, like at the event. Like that's one of the reasons why it became what it is. It's like this event is the business.
Yep. 100%. So in order to switch to the GW layouts, we will have the correct bases for every table.
That's a monumental effort.
Yeah, we're ironing out. Some of the bases might have, and a lot of GTs are doing this, might have a different element on them than just a ruin. So like you'll very likely see like a crate or an armored container on the small bases. There might be like some hills or something on a base. So we're ironing out how to play those, and we'll be publishing the rules for how to play those soon, like in the next week or two. But other than that, it will be GW terrain layouts, which that's a big announcement. People, that's a subject that a lot of people have an opinion about. It is, and it just being completely candid, I'm not saying anything that tournament regulars don't know. Our aesthetic quality of our terrain, I would put up against anybody. I don't think there's anybody better. I don't even think there's anybody as good. But I'm biased. The functionality of the terrain has been an issue as the additions have just continued on, right? Like there was a time where the terrain was highly functional. The game keeps changing and evolving, and it's hard to keep up. So switching to the GW layouts, one, it allows us to just be part of pushing a unified way to play 40K, which I'm all for. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the terrain will be highly, highly, highly functional this year, right? It will play like the US Open events. It will there will be no open tables, no Planet Bowling Ball. You're going to get aesthetic, beautiful terrain, an awesome convention experience, and none of your games should be won or lost this year because you drew a wonky table. That's just not a thing that we're going to have anymore.
Yeah,
I'm super
standardization is good, and I like the push. With the terrain, right? It's a good mini topic, right? A lot of people on the internet these days, it's got to be like one camp or the other. All of us are like that. You know what I mean? And so the layout terrain versus the player optimized terrain is just the current flavor of I'm pro this, anti that. I'm here to say bro, this is not the first time. We have Adepticon had player place terrain once, way back in the day.
Like as recently as last year.
No, I'm talking about 2009.
Yeah, we were one of the first, if I remember right.
As a matter of fact, the GW handbook said that's how it worked back in the day. And then the rest of us said, that's not how it works. This is stupid. And then we wanted to keep doing layout. But Adepticon was like, you realize if we just put the items on the table and they place them, that's a lot less work for our staff.
Yeah.
Right? And the rules exist. And so to me as an event organizer, I will always do player plays.
Yeah.
I'm a volunteer tournament organizer. I'm not messing with it. Somebody already did all the work for me. I'm never going to go to a table and look at your terrain and make sure it's okay. I don't care.
Well, let me tell you too. So my mind on player versus fixed has changed over the years. Let me give you sort of three considerations that I think in our current time and moment lend themselves towards fixed. So one, because GW has fixed maps that everybody knows, right?
Mhm.
Like the players can still set it up. Like I, as a judge, don't have to do it all the time, right? Like I could, in theory, just tell over the loudspeaker people how to set it up, right? So that saves the judge's effort. It saves.
Realistically, it could be exactly the same thing. It could just be like, here, like they used to do that. Put a packet that each take two tables shared with what layout you're on, and it's up to you fucks to do it.
Yeah. So I think the way GW's done fixed with Leviathan, it is easier on judges. I think fixed saves time in the round, right? Which is just forever, every edition, finishing games is an issue, right? So at 10 minutes, you don't have to spend placing terrain. Well, 10 minutes could be all of turn 5, right? So now we play turn 5 instead of talking it out or not getting it or whatever. So I think that leans towards fixed. And then the game is getting bigger. There are a lot of new people who are kind of middle of the pack players. And I think player place terrain can make feel bads games for the new people, right? Because it's very,
no, you're right. If somebody doesn't understand it or prepared for the event,
you lose the game before it starts.
You can, and that's why I subscribe to Brad Chester's philosophy on terrain. He says terrain's a crutch. Fuck terrain. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm like, baller. He's like, so design your armies around that. No, I agree. The thing is, I don't care. Like, tell me the rules, I play the rules. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Is like, neither of these is better than the other, except like where you want to be in your workload. You're designing a workload around putting these items on the table and making sure that they're following a set of guidelines. That's it. Like, and I'm doing the same thing. I don't care. You tell me the rules, I play the rules. I review the packet before I go to the event, and I strategize my list. We've been doing this the whole time. To referencing our point earlier, back in the day, every event had a different rules packet, dude.
Yep.
We would look at those packets and be like, yo, this army I'm playing right now, this is not tight for this.
Nope.
And you'd come, and Adepticon is like one of the ones that notoriously, because we knew how what terrain you guys had, we played a completely different type of armies at Adepticon historically than the rest of the events of the year.
Yeah,
that's where remember Flyer and Spam that year that became a thing. That's because they all knew they waited to play the armies at Adepticon because of the way their terrain worked. Death Stars, like the old Death Star 40K with the bikes that would scout into the table. Adepticon was our best event for that. Right, so you planned 4 different events and what they were publishing as their packet. You played different iterations of the same factions or different factions. There's nothing wrong with that. So, like, just play whatever people are saying to play. Adepticon, it's a big achievement that you guys are actually revamping the terrain for this,
a lot of work
to standardize it.
It is a lot. It is a lot of work. And again, I'm out in Arizona, so that's all the Illinois crew. So nothing but props to all of them.
No doubt.
But I think Kenny, like you hit something real fundamental there. As the terrain for Adepticon sort of fell behind the functionality of the editions over time, it made Adepticon feel more and more like a one-off event. And that
it hurt
it
absolutely hurt them in the eye of competitors in this market. It hurt Adepticon's branding and their street cred.
100%. And like I said, our goal is not to get back to being like the mecca or center of all things competitive, but we always want to keep growing and we always want to get better. And being more relevant and being in more, making it easier for people to come to Adepticon is always better. Not having to tailor your army to be competitive on weird terrain
Yeah.
better.
I'm with that. So let's go out on this question from the chat. We don't always hit up chat questions, but this is a good one.
Oh, it was a good one.
1+ saves, right? So he came to we're always making fun of this guy, right? But so he came out to his first big GT ever, LVO. He was just there. He helped us with the long war doubles at LVO, and so of course we're doing the long war doubles at Adepticon, which is the biggest, ballerest doubles we do, right? There's already 128 teams and a wait list, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is technically top. 128 times 2 players. That's already one of the biggest GTs in the game, right? And that's just a doubles event now at Adepticon. That's crazy. So he's coming to Adepticon. This is his first Adepticon, and he asks, and this is to Matt, he says, as a first timer at Adepticon, what are things I need to know? (do ?
Oh, that's great.
He's definitely playing. I think he signed up for the championships. And I think he signed up for the doubles too. So
I would put a lull day in your schedule to just hang out. Because of the convention feeling and the convention vibe. I've gone years where I had tournaments every day. Some of the tournaments are like half a day. So like I had, 2 tournaments on those days. And I think you miss out. So I would, if you could, just schedule a day or a half a day to just go look at the Golden Demons, go like through the board gaming area and just meet some people. There will be people just painting out in the hallways. Go talk to them. Just like have a bunch of beers and hang around, right? I think that is something that you don't get at other tournaments, right? And you do get at the more convention feeling of Adepticon.
Truth, I haven't signed up for an event in 2 years at Adepticon.
Well, you spend a whole day running one.
Right? I mean, that's just one day. That's literally just one day, though, right? So I'm there for the early. What's the day we get in? Rob, we get in there early, right? Like what day?
I get there on Tuesday.
You get there Tuesday. When do I
usually get there Wednesday?
So I get there Wednesday. Don't leave till Monday, dude. And I'm only running one event.
Yeah.
But I have come to the chill status level of there is so much to see and do. Yeah. That I'm not even playing in a 40K event anymore. I haven't played in a 40K event for 2 years. This will be my 3rd. I'm just running the doubles and chilling, son. That's how much stuff there is to do at Adepticon. That you can literally not sign up to play anything and see and feel endlessly entertained.
And Saturday is generally the biggest day there. Like a lot of people come in just with the 1 day pass just to go to the vendor hall or take some classes or something.
Yeah. I do. And they have a huge pickup game upstairs. Like they have a huge run of tables. Yep. So I do that. I play some pickup games, no doubt. But so Matt's advice is solid. Like, don't try to pack every day. Like, pick a day and be like, I'm just gonna see shit.
Plus the food.
Oh, and a good day to see shit is if you're not playing. Good point, Rob. You got to go to Portillo's at least once.
Yeah.
But
Giordano's.
I mean, we got sage advice on that. If you're going to go to Giordano's, remember 2 slice limit or you will shit the bed. That is a standing
Illuminati's
standing tradition here. But the 4-man team, if you haven't been, is you're going to see some shit you've never seen before.
Yes.
So you want to make sure you have an opening to go witness the team displays.
Oh yeah, the showcase at night on Saturday night.
Yeah. So this is a perfect segue into the one thing that I really, really wanted to hit. I have to pick my son up from baseball in 10 minutes, unfortunately. Good. One thing I absolutely want to hit before I go is the Army showcase. So the 4-man team tournament is really heavy on the hobby scores, and people go all out, and the displays are awesome because one, you've got 4,000 points of Army instead of like your normal 2, and you've got 4, 5, sometimes 6 people all working on it together. And it like the culture that has developed and evolved around that is amazing. So, you can walk through the 40K hall on Saturday morning and see all the stuff set up. But what we do is the best of it, we set up in the main hallway of the convention Saturday night for just the display showcase. And that display showcase is just getting better and more amazing every year. So last year, we opened it up to Age of Sigmar. Some of the Age of Sigmar guys are doing amazing stuff. And this year, we're opening it up to any team event across the entire con. So like the question about like, what should I do? What should I plan on doing? Schedule a half an hour Saturday evening, like around, after dinner, maybe like 9 o'clock, to just walk through the main hallway, and you'll see like some of the best.
You will see shit you what you're imagining right now is not enough. Like, you don't understand. I've seen a standing Egyptian sarcophagus as a display board for a Thousand Suns 4-man team army. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand what we're talking about. Like, if you just like, it's not just looking at some armies looking sick on the table.
The displays are what does it.
I've seen a full scale orc rock.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
40K
phenomenal.
scale orc rock.
There's nothing like it. I think it's the best part of the convention, and we're only making it bigger and better, right? So we're expanding the showcase, making it bigger. We're going to have an award for the best in convention this year for the best display. So that will get everybody hyped, and everybody bringing their best game. And I think it's great. I spent many years ignoring my wife and children, making my own displays, trying to compete and just get into that showcase. And so I got a soft spot in my heart for it. And this is just truly magnificent stuff.
Top tier. Thanks, Matt, for joining us tonight. Go pick up your son from baseball.
Yeah. Stop ignoring your wife and son.
Well, is there any dire questions or things I can answer in just a couple of minutes before I bounce? No?
Rob, you got anything for him to comment on?
I don't have any. No, I don't really have anything. I guess we'll follow up with him personally for what we need to do for our terrain for the event, but that's not a public thing.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, I just want to say thank you for having me. It was great. For everybody watching. Unfortunately, like I said, like all the 40K stuff at Adepticon, the wait lists are already full. But if you live anywhere close, come by and check it out. There's nothing like it. And I guarantee you'll have a great time, even just looking at stuff. And you'll want to get in on the action for next year. So Kenny and Rob, I'll be seeing you guys in a month.
Yeah, bro.
All right.
Absolutely, brother.
Gotta bounce, guys.
All right.
Thanks
for joining us.
All right, Rob, you want to take us out of this one?
Yes, absolutely. So that is it for this one. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you head on over to thelongwar.net for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.